Life can often feel like a constant battle, one that we never quite feel ready for. You wake up every day to face challenges, some big, some small, that seem determined to wear you down. Whether it's the weight of financial stress, the heartache of relationship struggles, health concerns that just won't let up, or the emotional exhaustion that comes with trying to keep everything together, there's no denying that life doesn't always play fair. But what if I told you that no matter how fierce the battle, there's a promise you can hold on to, a promise that you are never fighting alone? I know it can feel like you're standing in the midst of the storm with no way out, wondering if this is the end. Maybe you're asking yourself, how much more can I take? Or why does it seem like I'm constantly in the middle of a battle? It's easy to feel like giving up is the only option, especially when the odds seem stacked against you. But I want to remind you today, never give up. Why? Because God is with you in the fight. The Bible is full of stories of people who faced overwhelming odds, and in their darkest moments, God showed up in mighty ways. Just like He was with them, He's with you now. You may not see it yet, but His presence is there, standing by your side, ready to strengthen you when you feel like you've run out of strength. You don't have to carry this burden alone. In fact, you were never meant to. Today, I want to share with you a message of hope, a message that reminds you that you are not abandoned in your struggle. You are a child of God, and He will never leave you or forsake you. No matter what you're facing, He is fighting with you, for you, and through you. The battle may be tough, but the victory is already assured through Him. So take a deep breath. Right now, I want you to know that you're not alone. You may feel weak, but in Christ you are stronger than you realize. This fight, no matter how difficult, will not have the final word in your life. So hold on and keep going. God's got you. You can never give up because He's with you in every step of the battle. Part 1. The battle of life and the promise of God's presence. We all know that life is not a fairy tale. It's real, it's raw, it's messy. Every day can feel like a new battle. You're either facing one right now or you're bracing yourself for the next one. It might be the fight of your life to make ends meet, the strain of a relationship on the verge of breaking, or maybe it's the health scare that you're trying to hold together by sheer willpower. The truth is, everyone goes through battles. We all fight different battles, but we all face them. What's important to remember, though, is that you are not fighting these battles alone. I want you to hear me clearly on this. God is with you in the middle of your struggle. Psalm 23 verse 4 tells us, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." It doesn't say if you walk through the valley, it says though, which means valleys are a given in life. The hard times, they're going to come. But it also says that when they do come, God is right there with you. His presence is not just there during the good times when everything is easy and comfortable. His presence is there in the dark valleys, in the moments where you feel hopeless, and when you feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on you. It's easy to feel like God has forgotten you when life gets overwhelming. I get it. But the truth is, God's presence in your battle isn't a promise of an easy life, but it is a promise that you're never alone. The struggles, the hardships, the battles you face, they may be tough, but God hasn't abandoned you in the middle of them. He is with you. Think about it for a moment. Every trial you face, every storm that comes your way is an opportunity to see God's faithfulness in action. He doesn't leave you stranded. He walks through it all with you. Sometimes it might not feel like it in the moment, but His word reminds us over and over again, He will never leave you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31 verse 6. So today, no matter what you're up against, take comfort in knowing that God is right there beside you. You don't have to figure it all out alone. You don't have to carry the weight by yourself. With God, you have everything you need to get through it. The battle may be hard, but His presence makes all the difference. Part 2, the story of David, encouraging yourself in the Lord. Let me tell you a story from the Bible. It's the story of a man named David, a man who went through some of the hardest battles anyone could ever face. David wasn't just any man. He was a warrior, a king, and someone who loved God deeply. But that didn't make his life easy. In fact, David faced some intense struggles. In 1 Samuel 30, we find David and his men returning to Ziklag after a long journey. When they get back, they're met with a horrible sight. Their homes have been burned to the ground, and their wives and children have been taken captive. The Bible tells us that David and his men lifted up their voices and wept until they had no strength left to weep. 1 Samuel 30, verse 4. I want you to picture that. These were tough men, warriors who had fought battles and seen terrible things, yet they were so broken in this moment that they wept uncontrollably. Their families were gone, their homes were destroyed, and everything they had fought for seemed to be lost. But here's where it gets powerful. The very next verse tells us that David encouraged himself in the Lord. This is huge. David was in a moment of complete despair. His own men, the very people he fought beside, were turning against him and wanted to stone him. Yet instead of succumbing to the pressure, instead of giving up in that moment, David chose to encourage himself in God. Can you imagine that? When everything was falling apart, David found his strength not in his own ability or in the people around him, but in the Lord. When there was no one else to lean on, when the people he trusted the most were ready to abandon him, David made the choice to stand firm in God's promises. And guess what happened? God answered his cry. David went on to pursue the enemy, and not only did he recover everything that had been taken, but he came back with even more than he had before. 1 Samuel 30, verse 18 to 20. Now I want you to think about this. You might not be facing the same kind of battle David faced, but I know that you're fighting something. And just like David, you might feel like there's no one around to help you, no one to encourage you. Maybe the people in your life have turned away or have no idea how deep your struggles go. But here's the truth. You can encourage yourself in the Lord. When things get tough, when you feel like you have nothing left to give, remember that you have a God who is always there, ready to lift you up. You might be standing on the edge of despair right now, but God has the power to turn your situation around. David's story teaches us that no matter how impossible things seem, God can restore what was lost and give you back more than you ever imagined. So today, I challenge you. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Speak His promises over your life. When fear and doubt try to creep in, remind yourself that God is your strength. Just like David did, you can stand firm, even when it seems like everyone around you is ready to quit. Because with God by your side, giving up is never an option. Part 3, the strength in weakness and overcoming fear. Now let's take a moment to reflect on how we respond when life feels too overwhelming, when everything seems to be going wrong and we're at our breaking point. The natural human response is often fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It can paralyze us, making us feel like there's no way out. But here's the truth. Fear cannot control you unless you let it. It's time to stop allowing fear to dictate your choices, your thoughts, and your actions. Instead, we need to choose to walk by faith, even when the fear is knocking on the door. Faith doesn't mean that you won't feel fear, but it means choosing to trust God in spite of it. Faith means choosing to believe that God is bigger than any obstacle, any problem, and yes, any fear that tries to take hold of you. In Isaiah 41:10, God promises, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." When fear begins to rise up, remind yourself of that promise. God is with you. He will strengthen you. He will help you. And when you feel like you're about to crumble, He will uphold you with His mighty hand. But here's the key. You have to make the choice to believe that promise, even when fear seems to be screaming in your ear. Don't let fear rule your life. You are not a slave to fear. You are a child of God, and God has already defeated fear for you through Jesus Christ. So the next time fear tries to sneak in, don't sit back and let it control you. Stand up, declare the promises of God, and remind yourself of the truth. You do not have to fear because God is with you. His strength is greater than your fear. His power is greater than your weakness. And with Him, there is nothing that can stand against you. Part 4, God's provision and timing in the battle. Now let's talk about one of the most comforting truths we can hold on to during times of struggle: God's provision. When you're in the middle of a battle, it can feel like you're running on empty. You might feel like you're out of strength, out of ideas, and maybe even out of hope. Life can take everything out of you. But here's the good news. God is always faithful to provide. His provision is not just about meeting our physical needs, but also about giving us the strength, wisdom, and guidance we need in the midst of our battles. In Philippians 4:19, Paul reassures us with these words, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." That's a promise. God promises to meet all your needs, whether they are emotional, financial, spiritual, or physical. You might be looking around at your situation right now and thinking, how is this ever going to work out? How am I going to make it through? It's easy to get caught up in the pressure and the weight of the moment. But remember this, God knows what you need. He sees the full picture, and he has everything you need at the right time. But sometimes God's provision doesn't come in the way we expect. It may not always be a miraculous check in the mail, or an instant healing, or an immediate solution to every problem. God's provision often comes in the form of his wisdom and guidance. It comes through his strength when you feel weak. It comes through peace when the storm is raging. It comes through people that he places in your life at the right moment, bringing encouragement, resources, and love when you need it most. And God's timing is just as important as his provision. Sometimes we don't receive what we need when we want it, but that doesn't mean God is absent or uninterested. In fact, his timing is always perfect. Take a moment to think about the story of Abraham and Sarah. They were promised by God that they would have a child, but they had to wait for many years. Years of waiting, years of wondering if God's promise would ever come true. But when the time was right, when everything seemed impossible, God's timing was perfect. Sarah gave birth to Isaac at the age of 90, and God fulfilled his promise in the most incredible way. I know that waiting for God's provision can be tough. It's hard to trust when things aren't happening as quickly as you hoped or when it feels like you're running out of time. But take heart, because God's timing is always better than ours. When you trust that God's timing is perfect, you can rest in the peace of knowing that he is never late and he is never early. He is always right on time. Maybe right now, you're feeling like God is taking too long to come through. You're wondering why things haven't turned around yet. But let me encourage you. Keep trusting, keep praying, keep believing. God sees you, he knows your struggles, and he will provide everything you need at just the right time. So whatever battle you're facing today, know this. God's provision is not just about material needs. It's about giving you everything you need spiritually and emotionally to make it through. And his timing is always perfect. Trust in that, and you will see that he will never let you down. Part 5, Victory Through Christ. Never give up. I want to take a moment to remind you of something incredibly important. You already have the victory in Christ. You are not fighting for victory. You are fighting from victory. This truth changes everything. In Romans 8:37, the Apostle Paul declares, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Do you realize what this means for you today? No matter what you're facing, you are more than a conqueror. You are not just someone who survives the battle. You are someone who is empowered to thrive in the battle because Jesus has already secured the ultimate victory for you. There's something powerful about the word conqueror. A conqueror is someone who defeats the enemy. A conqueror is someone who takes control. But notice that the Bible doesn't say that we are just conquerors. It says we are more than conquerors. So what does it mean to be more than a conqueror? It means that in Christ, you have already overcome every obstacle, every challenge, and every battle you'll ever face. You don't have to fight the battle on your own. Jesus has already won it for you. When you stand in the middle of your fight, whether it's a financial struggle, a health crisis, or emotional pain, you are standing as a victor, not a victim. Even when you don't feel strong, even when you don't see the outcome yet, the victory is already yours because of what Jesus did on the cross. And here's the best part. Your victory is not dependent on your ability to win the battle. It's dependent on God's faithfulness and the power of what Jesus has already done. Jesus has already defeated sin, death, and every power of the enemy. You are on the winning side, and nothing can change that. That's the power of the cross. So when life gets tough, and when it feels like everything is falling apart, remember this. You don't fight for victory, you fight from a place of victory. Jesus has already made you more than a conqueror. No weapon formed against you will prosper. No battle is too big, and no mountain is too high. You can never give up because victory is already yours through Christ. Part 6. Never give up. Persevering through the pain. Now let's talk about the power of perseverance. This is one of the most important keys to making it through the battles of life. Life will try to knock you down, and sometimes it will feel like everything is against you. But I want you to hear this loud and clear. You can't give up. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how long the road may seem, you must keep going. God is with you every step of the way. James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." Perseverance is not just about surviving the storm. It's about standing strong in the middle of it, knowing that God is faithful to bring you through. You are not meant to be destroyed by your struggles. Every difficulty you face, every trial you endure is an opportunity to grow stronger in your faith, to learn to depend on God's strength, and to see his provision in action. When we persevere, we are declaring that our trust in God is stronger than the challenges we face. We are saying, "I will not give up. I will not be moved. God is with me, and I know he will see me through." The Apostle Paul knew this well. In 2 Corinthians 4:8-9, he writes, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." These are words of perseverance. These are words that declare no matter how difficult the battle is, you will not be defeated. Even when life knocks you down, you will rise again. Let me tell you something. Your perseverance in the face of trials is a testimony to the world. When people see you going through hardship but still standing strong, when they see you fighting with faith even in the darkest moments, that speaks volumes about the power of God at work in your life. But here's the thing. Perseverance doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It doesn't mean that you won't get tired or frustrated. You will. There will be days when you want to quit. But perseverance means that even when you don't feel like it, you keep going because you know God is with you. You know that the victory is already secured. You know that you are not fighting this battle alone. And every step you take forward, even in the midst of pain, is a step closer to your breakthrough. God is working in you and through you, even when it doesn't feel like it. Your perseverance will pay off. You will receive the crown of life, the reward for your faithfulness. So, no matter what battle you're facing, don't give up. Persevere. Stand firm. Keep moving forward in faith. The battle may seem long, but God is right there beside you, and he will never let you go. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Philippians 4:13. Keep pressing on. The victory is waiting for you on the other side. Part 7. Understanding God's timing and plan. One of the most difficult things to do when you're in the middle of a battle is to understand God's timing. We often think that we know what's best for our lives, and we think that God should answer our prayers when we want him to. But the reality is, God's timing is always perfect, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Think about the story of Abraham. God promised him a son, Isaac, but Abraham had to wait 25 years for that promise to be fulfilled. Can you imagine? 25 years of believing God, praying for a child, yet nothing happening. But in that waiting period, God was teaching Abraham patience, trust, and faith. When the time was finally right, God fulfilled his promise in the most miraculous way. It wasn't in Abraham's time, it was in God's time. It's easy to question God's timing when things aren't happening the way we think they should. It's easy to feel like God is silent or not answering our prayers. But I want to encourage you today. Don't mistake God's timing for his absence. Just because you don't see the outcome right now doesn't mean that God isn't working behind the scenes. God sees the bigger picture that we can't always see. His plan for your life is far greater than anything you could ever imagine. You might feel like you're stuck in the waiting, but remember, God's delays are not denials. His timing is always better than ours. and He will bring about His perfect plan for your life when the time is right. If you're in a season of waiting right now, know this: God is preparing you for something greater. The waiting is not wasted. It is in the waiting that God is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and preparing you to step into the next season of your life. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." You may not understand the timing, but you can trust the one who holds your future in His hands. So if you're feeling frustrated by God's timing, or if you're wondering why your breakthrough hasn't come yet, take a deep breath. Trust that He is working all things together for your good. God's plan is always worth the wait. I hope that today's message has encouraged you and reminded you that you are never alone in your battles, that God is with you every step of the way. His love for you is endless. His promises are sure, and His timing is perfect. If you've been inspired by this message and want to stay encouraged through your own journey, subscribe to the Endless Love of God YouTube channel. Join a community of believers who are here to support, uplift, and remind each other daily of the never-ending love and faithfulness of God. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an uplifting video designed to strengthen your faith and remind you of God's unfailing love for you. Keep pressing forward. You are more than a conqueror in Christ.